Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are talking about War Thunder Naval. Why? Over the past week or so, many of you guys have messaged me or left comments on the channel pointing out some of the changes that Gaijin are implementing in Naval, in particular in their arcade mode. And a couple of these changes are fairly large. The biggest one being that they are reworking how aiming works in the arcade version of Naval. It's going to work awfully similar to how Warships aiming mechanics work now. So, if you've never played War Thunder Naval, the way that you would traditionally aim, and the way that it still will be in realistic battles, is that you lock onto a ship, you have to wait for your rangefinder to figure out the range on the ship, and then you get a bit of a firing solution, you aim at that point, and then you have to account for, the enemy ship's movements, your ship's movements. It's a very in-depth, detailed system, much more detailed than warships, where you click X, the game locks onto the enemy ship for you. It takes care of adjusting for the enemy ship's current speed and current heading, and then you have to predict either where they are going to maneuver, or you have to, compensate, where exactly you want the shells to land on the enemy ship, and you just click the fire button and go from there. War Thunder Naval, you have to adjust for, again, all the movements of your ships, all the movements of the enemy ship, and, of course, account for any type of movement that they might do after you fire, so a little bit of prediction there. You fire, and you hope you hit the target, right? And that's a very down and dirty way of explaining it. It's very complicated is what I'm getting at. But in arcade now, Gaijin is moving toward a system that's awfully similar to warships, where you click X, you lock onto the target, the game takes care of adjusting for your ship's speed and the enemy ship's speed, and you just have to, predict what they're going to do, and, make any guesstimations from there on out as to where you want your shells to hit the enemy ship. That's a pretty big fundamental change to how the system and how the mode has worked for the years that it's been around now. Also, they're adding in a health bar. This is truly ironic if you've been around any of the discourse surrounding any of Wargaming's games versus War Thunder. Pretty funny there. Granted, we've had a health bar in Naval for forever now. It's the crew. The crew's always been the health bar in Naval. I guess they just want to actually, either display it as a health bar now or kind of make it more approachable to the masses, which leads into something else I want to talk about these changes in this mode. So obviously what Gaijin's trying to do here is simplify the mode to bring in more players, or really bring in any players. What do I mean by that? If you've never played Naval before, there's not a lot of actual players playing Naval. In the background footage right now, first off, it took me over 5 minutes to get into a match, which is crazy. We talk about the declining player base in warships, or I should say the declining in quote-unquote player base in warships, how the game's quote-unquote dying, yet I can, on the North American server, which is one of the smaller servers for warships, I can hop into a battle at just about any time of the day, excluding 2 to 5 a.m., and be in a battle in usually under a minute in top tier. Here in top tier Naval, I sit around for over 5 minutes, and the game is still 75% bots. You've got 3, maybe 4 real players per side. The rest of the team is filled in with AI. So, yeah, that says a lot about the health of a game right there. So there's not a lot of players playing War Thunder Naval at the moment. Certainly not high tier. Of course, it's War Thunder. It takes forever for you to grind to high tier. Not sure if that's really a problem here. You can go play high tier ground, you can go play high tier aviation, and be in a battle, usually again, minute or under, from my experiences with War Thunder. So, not a lot of players are playing Naval. They need to attract more players. They're trying to make the game simpler, to entice more players to hop into Naval by dumbing down arcade. Okay, will that work? Probably not. Why? Well, Gaijin has ironically, moved at an absolute snail's pace when it comes to naval. I mean, look at the rest of the game. We have, quite literally, modern-day tanks in ground, in high-tier ground. We are quite literally getting modern-day fighter jets now in aviation. They just announced the F-18. Yeah, it's the early version, but with the speed that they're going, I mean, we went from having the F-15A to the F-15C in the blink of an eye. It felt like, as far as development time goes, with regards to aviation. And now, again, we're getting the F-18. So how long until we get a modern F-18? Not that long. It would have surprised me within the next 2 years we would actually get the F-22 in high-tier aviation. Would not surprise me at all with the way that they're going. I mean, they introduced the F-117 to kind of test out stealth mechanics, right? And again, here we are. So compare that to naval. What do we have in naval right now? Well, literally like 2 or 3 days before I sit down and record this video, Gaijin has announced that they are adding in the Colorado. The Colorado to the American tech trees. They're going to be the top tier battleship in the American line. They're just getting to the Colorado when naval's been out for how many years now? Just now they're getting to the Colorado. And it hasn't been that long that, ships like the Hood have been added in. Have the Dunkirk now. You've got the Alaska, Kronstadt, Scharnhorst, Graf Spee. All these ships have been slowly drip-fed into naval over the years. Which, truth be told, isn't really enough to get, those naval buffs in the game. You don't have any of the big names. I mean, you got Hood, which is about the biggest name. Hood and Scharnhorst and Graf Spee. Those are the 3 big name boats I can think of off the top of my head that are in naval at this moment. You don't have any Iowas. Don't have the New Jersey. Don't have the Wisconsin. Don't have the Missouri. Don't have the Iowa. None of those are in the game. You don't have the Bismarck somehow, even though we have 15 and 16-inch armed ships in the game at this moment. Don't have a Bismarck. Don't have a Tirpitz. Don't have a Yamato. Don't have a Musashi. It's been years and none of these big name ships are in the game. And you need those ships, you need those names to pull players into your game. Because those are the ships that, they're the gateway drug into the naval history buff lifestyle, right? That's what got me. I'd come home from school, watch the History Channel, watch all their documentaries on the Iowas and the Yami and the hunt for the Bismarck and such. Those are the gateway drugs into this rabbit hole, right? And none of them are in the game. I mean, yeah, you have the Hood. That's cool that the Hood's in the game. That would have been nice if, game would have launched with a full British battlecruiser line, battleship line, whatever you want to call it, and a full German battleship line, where you have the Hood and the Bismarck. That would have been great for the longevity of the mode. I mean, what warships did it? You had a full American and full Japanese battleship line when the game launched. You had the Yami and the Iowa and the Montana, right? Those big names, those ships that got argued about on forums for forever. Who would win in a fight, an Iowa or a Yami? Now you could take them into battle in wood warships and find out for yourself, right? But none of that's in War Thunder Naval. Now I get it, it started out with the coastal boats and stuff, and that's understandable. But if you're going to do a naval mode, you have to have those big names that attract people into the mode. Will they eventually get there? Probably so, but who knows how long it's going to be before you get an Iowa in game or the Yami in game, right? Probably at the earliest, another 2 years? I mean, because if you're at the Colorado, the fastest you can go from the Colorado to the Iowa would be the Colorado and then like the either a South Dakota or North Carolina, and then the Iowa. And how long did it take them to get the Colorado in game, right? And that's just in the American tech tree, let alone any of the other tech trees, right? So they've gone far too slow with naval in terms of adding in ships. And that's probably intentional, given again the lackluster player numbers that Naval turns out. Again, playing on a Friday evening, waiting for over 5 minutes to get into battle, right? That's crazy. These matches in the back row, which I'm not even sure if I'm going to have time to get to the second match, played on a Friday evening and a Saturday midday. Times that, the servers should be full. People are off from work, it's the weekends, but yet, sitting in queue for over 5 minutes to drop into battle. So, it's been far too slow of a pace for War Thunder Naval to really have a chance, I should say, at rivaling Wood Warships. I mean, Gaijin might drag it along because, obviously, ground and air, that's Gaijin's bread and butter with War Thunder. I do prefer War Thunder ground to War of Tanks. I do prefer War Thunder aviation to World of Warplanes. Clearly, as so many others do. So obviously those two modes aren't going anywhere anytime soon, and they are, obviously printing Gaijin money. So I'm sure Naval will eventually get there. I just don't think it ever will be, a serious competitor to World of Warships at the rate that they're going. Because it's just been too little, too late with Naval. Sure, the changes they're making right now might draw some people in, make the mode a little bit more approachable, but if they had started out with full lines, or at least with again, a Bismarck and the hood, since they got the hood in game fairly quickly at the rate that they've been going with Naval. If they would have had that would have been probably a nice kick to the mode. But they're not, and they're still dragging their feet. We still don't have a Bismarck yet for whatever reason, which is really weird. It's just odd that we have 15-inch guns in Naval. We have the hood. There's no Bismarck. All right, so that's my 2 cents on Naval and these recent changes. Again, obviously, Gaijin's trying to attract players into the mode, but it's far too little too late, in my opinion, for the mode to ever be a serious competitor to World of Warships. And again, the player numbers reflect that themselves. Go try it out for yourself. Hop into Naval Realistic. See how long you can be waiting in queue for. Again, every time I get on in the evening on Fridays and Saturday middays, 5 minutes plus in queue. 3 or 4 real players, everyone else is bots. So guys, let me know what you guys think about Naval and what Gaijin's doing with it. You think these changes are going to bring about a renaissance to the game, or what? I think if they ever do get to the point of adding in the Iowa, the numbers will obviously surge, especially on the North American server. Basically, when they get to that point of adding in those big names, you'll probably see a pretty good kick in the numbers, but no one's going to really stick around, I think, given, again, just the other problems that the mode has. Which, if they had those player numbers at the start, they could have ironed out the kinks of the mode, and kind of gone from there. But, again, too little too late, in my opinion. Again, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday, wonderful rest of your week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.